Hello friends, welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. Just wanted to share a bit. My buddy Jason, Everyday Card Collector, just shared a pickup of a Wheaties, 1930 something. They're all kind of 35, 36, 37, 38. Maybe they go to 39, I'm not sure, but it's Wheaties boxes, cut out. There's several series, and every series has a little bit different look and different theme, and pretty extensive player lists. So if you're a player collector, if you're a team collector, there's really some cool options. You will find most of them are cut in somewhat of a rough way, so it's not something you're going to look at like getting a grade on, and I don't know what a grade would really mean anyway. It just means somehow they cut the box well, but I've seen some that were authentic, or some that were actually maybe over trimmed for what they would want, that I think look pretty phenomenal. So I pulled quite a few. I don't know how many I have, something in the teens, but I just thought I'd run through just to encourage folks. I really have embraced the pre-war pusher kind of label, but it really is. It's an encourager, and I love seeing folks say, like, I didn't really know about that set, or I didn't know about that item, or I knew of it, but I didn't realize it was quite so affordable. So I want to share a little bit, more than just what they are, and say, isn't that cool? I want you to know, like, these things are really affordable. So I'm just gonna get kicking. I don't really know the series all that well. As I dive in, this will probably be something that's on my radar and something I add to in the next several years. So yes, I will get better, but when you look at that, there's a little signature at the bottom. Some of them have like almost no write up to it, so pretty basic, cool, but it almost gives me some like Cracker Jack vibes with the simplicity of the image and the color behind. To me, that's a well done, beautiful cutout. Carl Hubble. Let me find the other Carl Hubble. I got two. So this one, he's kind of winding back, leaning back on one foot. This is probably like the next step in his pitching motion. So pretty darn cool as well. Signature, I think, is slightly larger, and then it does give you a little bit of a right up there. Sometimes they'll give you a little bit of a season highlight, which will give you a nice indication as to what year it is. Series, again, like I'm going to get lost in the series stuff if I try and keep all that stuff straight in my head, at least at this stage. I'll keep learning. It just says star pitcher, so that doesn't necessarily tell me what year it is. He was a star pitcher for a lot of years, so that doesn't help. Next one gives a little bit of a bio, but obviously similar set and series. I thought that was really neat. So cool Melot image. And again, when you get into the writing, sometimes you'll get an idea of, a season. They might give you a recap and say last year he led, or first player to have this many RBIs in 1936 or something like that. So sometimes they'll throw some details in there. But I picked up those three. Those were all, they're probably $50 items. If you find them really rough, maybe they go for under. If you find them nicer, cleaner, maybe they start to push 100. But it's Melot and Carl Hubble, so it's kind of hard to get a card for that. And to me, for display sake, I enjoy the size of that. Let me skip this one. I'm going to go real cheap. This one would be cut probably in a less desirable way according to what they're looking for. And it's because, like, Wheaties is actually even cut off. So how dare they? But the image itself is clean. Lots of writing on there, right? So if you want to pause that and read everything on there, that's absolutely doable. But pretty neat. And they usually have these as really neat advertisements. So, spokesman trying to get you to eat Wheaties for breakfast. I think this one's just fantastic. So it goes through leading batsman, major leagues, 388, most double plays, during the 1936 season. So obviously this one's a 37. But how cool is that? Luke Appling. And then let's jump in. I guess we'll go to this guy. This one I think also has a year on it. Back to that almost Cracker Jack feel of solid color with neat image. One of my guys, Lefty Grove. So fantastic. And then you get the write-up where you might be able to sometimes tell the years even without being a Wheaties box expert. So these are pretty small. This is like a 5x7, 4x6 case, I think. That's pretty tiny. Some of these you'll find people took bigger cases and custom cut them just so they display or maybe are more manageable. This one that I picked up from my friend. So you can always tell when they're a friend pickup because sometimes the cases are the originals. So he labels what year the Wheaties is. But super cool image of Jimmy Fox. Absolutely love having this in the collection. And again, whenever it's a pickup from a friend or gift from family, it never leaves the collection. So not that much of my stuff does. Next one also from him, 1937. Wheaties. Another Lefty Grove. Just fantastic image, right? So when you compare that to, a card you're going to put into a box, it's going to be something you can hold in your hand. This is big. That's a significant size item. And again, at the bottom, you get some information. You can, sometimes it's, propaganda trying to get you to buy the cereal, and sometimes it's just really interesting statistics or summaries of recent years. Next up, let's jump in. This is one, I don't know what I was doing. I decided to buy some red roughings. Sometimes it's not so much the player. I don't really collect red roughing per se. And I want at least one of every Hall of Famer, so I've got some red roughing stuff in the collection already. Sometimes, like an item like this, I just think it's really neat. The instructional aspect of that. Like, how cool is that? I think that's just fantastic. It's entertaining. It's super cool. Maybe I'll get better at baseball as I push 50. But I thought the image was cool. And sometimes I'll put bids in on these things because I see them and they're going for like $12. And I see it and I'm like, that's silly. For $12 I should have that. So I want to say this one was maybe not even teens dollars. Like this was $10, $12. It was not much. So definitely happy to have another example like that. This next one was actually pretty low cost as well. There's a big old hole. I think a lot of these were probably pinned up to walls as, budget posters back in the day. But the image itself is fantastic. And he's with the right team in this one. So we will take an Al Simmons. This is one you see a lot where the border can be bigger and bigger and bigger. I think this one actually has a little more of an ornate border that can even go beyond this. So it could even be a slightly larger item. But other times you'll see folks have trimmed it like to here because they don't care about this little fancy picture frame looking border, and they'll make it a little bit smaller. So you'll see these in varying sizes, even though it's the exact same box that was cut. And again, that's why I don't worry about grading. If somebody cut it really tight, but it still looks amazing, and you still get that perfect Al Simmons image, I say go for it. I think that's a wonderful pickup for anybody's collection. And I think that was, I don't know, $20, $30. Very reasonable. Let's move that one over. Let's go this one. This one was really cheap too. This was a $10, $15 pickup. And another player that I don't have enough of, I don't collect this player per se, but if you need to have one, it really doesn't hurt to have two or three. I feel like it gives your collection some, a well-rounded dynamic to it. It's Joe Medwick, Ducky Medwick, phenomenal player, and one that you don't see a whole lot of items for. So as soon as you can pick something like that up for $10, $20, it becomes a really nice addition to just tell the story of baseball a little more thoroughly, if that's how you collect. And that's how I collect. So let's go with this. I ended up with two of these. I'm going to explain why. So we shall see. I showed this in a video previously, and I felt like that's one of the items that people reacted to very positively. People were commenting and just saying how cool they thought that was. And it's a Carl Hubble Strikes Out Murderers Row. I think that's really, when you think Carl Hubble and you think accomplishments, great left-handed pitcher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you think of that All-Star game when he's mowing down all those All-Stars in a row. So what this is a little bit of a testimonial to that. And then it gives this amazing write-up. So for me, what I thought was maybe I would snag a second one, potentially to trade or gift, or maybe I've not really done any kind of like big VR kind of things. I might do something as a giveaway once I hit whatever level, but that's one that sometimes when things are well received, I like to be able to have that to be generous down the road. So we'll see. So I have two of those. Next up is kind of a fun one. And again, you think about those early career items. Bob Feller, what are we looking at? Like a 38 Gaudy is considered as kind of popular rookie. There's some 36, 37s, things like that out there. But take a look at this. Right up. Very early career Bob Feller item. And instead of paying $1,000 for a Gaudy, you can get this for under $100, maybe $50. They're not huge bucks. So for me, again, I like Bob Feller. Bob Feller was very generous, giving back. Military service, phenomenal pitcher. What would have, could have been if his career didn't have the years of service involved. He would have been a whole different dynamic between strikeouts and wins, and everything would have just been probably in a whole different stratosphere for where he's acknowledged in the game. So I thought that was a cool one to pick up. And I had the extra talk about 1936, my first year. So that's pretty early into his career, which is neat. The next one, I think this gives some personality to what you can get. So Jimmy Fox having a family breakfast with his kid. So some of this, you get like some candid opportunities that you just don't get from cards. So yeah, it's kind of taking it outside of the norm. Jimmy Fox in a whole different light, right? So I thought that was a cool one to add in. What do we got? 4 more. I'll go with this one. This is that's a banger. That's a good one. Joe DiMaggio, again, early career stuff. You get these 36, 37s, 38, whatever, Wheaties. 38 Gaudy is kind of that big head is kind of considered. maybe his mainstream first card, rookie card. There's several things in 36, but when you can pick up something like this for a couple $100, to me, super neat. Sometimes under, sometimes just over, but I would say if you're looking in the, high ones to 250 range as I'm recording this, you're probably doing pretty well on a Joe DiMaggio Wheaties box. So cool options there. All right, last few. I'm going to go with this one, then I'll show the two gradeds. This was a bigger dollar one, and I don't know if it, I don't know what it comps at. I've never seen one of these pop up, so when I saw it come up for auction, I decided I was going to win it. So I don't know if I went a little aggressive, but again, when you're playing in the field where it might not come up again this year or for years, I figure it's worth jumping. So what a neat brother combo there. So Dizzy and his brother Paul Dean together. So very just cool image. Again, I think this one's probably cut too close. I'm not a grader, but it's an authentic item. I don't think anyone's faking them. These are just cut off cereal boxes, so it's not like you're worried about this thing being real or not. And the grade's an A. I can guarantee that. So there's no reason to slab it. It's safe here. It's literally a cardboard box cut out. I take good care of my stuff, so I don't worry about the condition of it changing. For me, it'll stay like that forever. But that was some dollars. That was probably close. Again, I don't know if I got a good deal, bad deal, but it's close to the DiMaggio kind of cost. Dizzy Dean is hard to find anyway, right? So you don't get a lot of options. You've got some Gaudies. There's no Diamond Stars. And then you're into like gold medal flower. I think I've got a good half dozen Dizzy Dean items, because when you start to get creative, you can find things. So something like that where he's with his brother, or you get this thing, which I think I've shown this too. Obviously, this is the best of both worlds. So he's in a Cubs uniform, which is excellent. But the write-up is him talking about a Cardinals World Series, which, talk about either making both fan bases upset or making both fan bases slightly happy. But again, you get a cool Dizzy Dean. It's authentic, shocker. It's a cutout box. So I just thought really cool image. I like Dizzy Dean stuff. Neat story. I feel like I'd like to do a video on this. I feel like there's almost a Sandy Koufax type career every generation, and I think Dizzy Dean might have been that. He was a what if he wasn't injured. Before that, there's maybe Addie Joss, who passed way too young, and I would say maybe Johan Santana would be the one in a more contemporary generation where, if he would have been healthy, when you look at the dominance, the Cy Young Awards, things like that, Dizzy Dean was a 30-game winner and MVP candidate for several years in a row, and then was injured. So very, very short but intense peak, and unfortunately you kind of wonder what would happen. So neat story, and good baseball guy for a good part of his life too. So last one is one of the few ways you can go actually big on these. So 1936 Wheaties Series 3, so now I know. But if you want to go big, these can end up with a comma. This one is not. This was from an auction house. Again, you see the border at the bottom. Not sure what's going on here at my house. Some kind of plane or helicopter out there. But there is border here, maybe a little less border, and then at the top there's missing border, so it ends up being authentic. Probably mostly for the border, which does not bother me whatsoever. Looks a lot like the R 315 image, which is a very cool Lou Gehrig card as well. But when you look at Lou Gehrig's and you can say this one could be less than a comma, to find a Lou Gehrig that doesn't have a comma in the price, not easy. So I would definitely encourage you, check out Wheaties. I mean, we just ran through. I mean, you get a budget Gehrig, some true like rookie era DiMaggio stuff and Feller. Get some Dizzy Dean stuff that's not normally on the table. You get some neat Lefty Groves and Carl Hubbles and neat stories and teaching you how to hit and how to base run and how to pitch. And sometimes you just find the players that are a little, sideways of your core. The Ducky Medwicks of the world that I just don't have enough in my collection, and there's not enough out there. So you can pick something like that up for $15-20, or a Red Ruffing. It's a cool addition to the collection. So there will definitely be more of these coming to the Value Vintage library in the future. But I just want to share what I have now, and thank Jason for mentioning this set. And if you haven't dug into this set, give it a whirl. And if you're out there and you're a big fan of this, please share what's your favorite. I'm still learning and diving in, but they're fun. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy.